they bring back up.
Welcome to Unbiased and on the Fence. I'm Shane. Thank you guys so much for joining. Well, check this out here. Let's see. Look at this monstrosity. This is my newest doodle that is the results of an experiment I've been doing on myself with consciousness in the left and the right brain. And I'm going to get into this more in just a moment, but I need to actually go to my original doodle, the one that's actually on the wall behind me here, because I had two amazing synchronicities happen. Right, so it started off with, I was checking out emails this morning and I came across one from Alicia, who has been sending IMEC, the International Mandela Effect Conference team, different findings and things, and really helping out with research and stuff. So when I opened her email today, I saw that she had sent a new discovery, and it was like right in line with what had happened with something I saw in the doodle. So I'll get to that because it just really blew my mind, because this doodle's been, up for, I did it a few years ago or whatever, and this just happened a week ago, but it looks like you would have never known. It's sort of like a Nostradamus prophecy. You don't really know it means anything until after the fact, but there is a lot of striking similarities in this doodle that I want to point out. And I've actually had two synchronicities, but this is the first one. Let me play this for you real quick.
This morning, a first look at a stunning discovery on Easter Island, one of the most remote inhabited islands in the world. A new Moai, a large stone statue carved from volcanic rock, was discovered this week, marking an archaeological milestone.
There have been no Moai that are found in the dry bed or in what was previously a lake. So this is a first.
For the Rapa Nui people, it's
And really notice how it's like sticking out of the ground a little bit with this hill up here. And I don't know if you guys saw the image. Let's see, let me back it up. You see the image of the Moai right here. And then here it is kind of poking out of the ground in this dry lake bed. So as soon as I opened the email from Alicia, which thank you so much, Alicia, for sending us so much great information. Really appreciate it. So after that, I was like looking at my doodle, because I'm like, oh, I put one of those little Moai in the drawing. And I did it because I had already drawn this Easter basket right here with Easter eggs. And I'm thinking Easter, I had this little negative space here between the pineapple and the feather. And so I drew a little Moai there, like on Easter Island, but having no idea that when you look closely here, I didn't know they were made out of a volcano, first off, but there's a volcano like right above it. There's this hill like leading down to what looks like a dry lake bed here behind the leaves of the pineapple. And you can even see down here, there's actually what looks like the water line here for this lake down here with the little boat and everything in it. So it was so wild that when I looked at it and saw that it's like just this little tip of the head right here by the egg is poking out of the ground. So it almost looks like it depicts it perfectly with how they were showing it in the video, with it just sort of poking out of the ground there. So I was like really blown away by that. And right after I wrote Alicia the email, I had this other video come to mind. This session with Sarah that we did about, was it 9 months ago or so, back in May of 22. And as I'm listening to it, this is what I hear. I'll just play it for you here.
So it's like our solar system is about to be bombarded by some kind of galactic style tsunami.
So it's energy then, not water.
Yeah, it's energy. It's not water. It's energy. But it looks the same way that it does in the ocean. That's what it looks like to me right now. Some kind of energy that's coming in.
And that's going to do something to the sun, which in turn will do something to us, because everything's connected then.
Yes.
Okay, so How cool is that? Now we'll go back to the doodle, because I was thinking, when I was listening to that, I'm like, well, wait a minute. I drew a tsunami in the artwork here. Now check this out. You can see this earthquake under the water right here. Hope you can see my pointer. Let me see if I can get it. Well, no, I guess I don't have anything to point bigger. I can maybe zoom in a little bit further. Let's see here. There we go. Let's do it like that. Okay, so as you see, there's this, what looks like an earthquake under the water, and the water, this is like a tsunami coming up. And look here, there's a solar system right here, our solar system. So in the video, she said the information that came through was that the tsunami at the edge of our solar system was coming in, and it was going to affect the planets, which in turn it would also affect the sun, which you see it's right here. It's actually in line with the planets. That's what gave me the idea to put them over there in the first place. It wasn't the water. So to me, this was all unrelated. I didn't think it was even connected. But as soon as I heard that in the session, I'm like, wait a minute. And it's funny because in the session, I have this artwork up behind me. You can't really make out all of this or whatever, but you can see here it's affecting the sun, which is affecting this DNA strand and affecting us. Energy. So anyway, I was just like really like blown away that, you know, I just doodled little thoughts that came to my mind, and it came through in a real similar fashion. You know, I mean, what are the chances that, you know, nothing's an accident? So I just thought that was pretty cool. I wanted to share that. Now I'll actually get into, and thank you so much, Sarah, for, you know, allowing us to share that last year. And it was just such a cool synchronicity. And also thank you, Alicia, for sending us such great information and findings and everything. So much appreciated. And everyone in the community that helps out. And I also want to mention, if you don't know that I'm part of the International Mandela Effect Conference, you can find us on YouTube. The link is down below. But we do a monthly show, and a monthly open table show, where we discuss the Mandela effect and things that people are finding, just things that are new. And if you want to take part in that, come on over. This next one coming up is going to be on March 22nd at 3 Eastern Time, which is actually an hour later than usual. So just be prepared. It's going to be an hour later than usual for this show coming up. And so let me get to this. Okay, so my initial thought going into this was my experiment. And I wanted to only use my right brain, you know. So when I started out, I thought I was pretty successful when I began, which I began right in the middle here. Now this is actually, I'll kind of explain, because I'll create like a really big line, like maybe this, you know, and then I'll go back and erase. So that's how the whole thing was done. But I started way in here somewhere. Where was it? Let's see. Let me see if I can remember where I started here. Oh, wow. Yeah, it was right in this area right here. I just started creating strokes and just going with the feeling of it and just going in between and really just filling it out. So all of these were originally just thick black lines. And to give you an idea, because people always wonder how I do this. So if you are curious, I'm actually using an old program here. This is Illustrator. This is like way back from when I was like going to school about Illustrator. So this is, oh, I can't make it pop up in that window, but this is, I keep clicking the wrong stuff here. About Illustrator. This is Adobe Illustrator CS5. So this is like pretty old. Probably like over 10 years or something. But it works great still, and you don't have to pay monthly. Nowadays, if you get Illustrator or Photoshop, you have to pay monthly. So I use my old programs because there's no need to get any of the new features. I don't use it as much as before, and I can make it work, you know. So in addition to using Illustrator, which you'll notice that, when you normally zoom in on photos or pictures, it gets pixelated. But this is vector, so you can zoom all the way in and it stays smooth because it's actually, let me see if I can click the line and show you. Oh, I've got a bunch of the layers locked. But like I can highlight some of these, some of them aren't. And you can see it's just points and lines. So that's how it's able to keep the resolution as you zoom way in. So you can also draw at different levels like that. So basically, let me show this because I can pull this up. I have to wear this. Here, let me put it on here. So I have a little drawing tablet. I put this little glove on. It allows my hand to slide around on the glass. And then the actual drawing tablet is here. And it's showing me what's on my screen up there. So I can look down at the drawing tablet and draw. And it just has a regular pen, like, with a little button on it that I can use to sort of move the screen around. And it's basically like clicking or whatever, but you can adjust the way the stroke is. It's pretty cool. So at first, that's what I was doing. I would simply get my brush out and just adjust it up to something nice and big. And then it's pressure sensitive, you can see, so I can do it harder and softer and just, basically creating lines however I want. But afterwards going in, so I, creating a line like this, and then you can go back and actually create a pattern by like erasing out of it, And so that's the sort of thing, just to give you kind of an idea of how I was going back and forth, and how all of this in here was just strokes, and then I went back and erased stuff out of it to create these cool patterns. So at first I thought I was doing a pretty good job at staying in the left brain, but I wasn't realizing that the right brain was, staying in the right brain, but the left brain was very much involved with the analytics of everything and just how things look, and my experience in art of kind of creating certain looks. And also even, it's funny, like doing certain things like this little area over here, the left brain kicking in and say, that looks like a 666, right? That looks evil or whatever, So that sort of thing would come through. So my brain kept seeing all sorts of 666s and worms and snakes and things like that. But I just tried not to be affected with the right brain and just continue on with it and just allow it to flow out. And as I went along, and I realized, like you can see as I went along, like just adding this effect to this to give it that look, you have to have your left brain involved. And it was right along in here that I realized, like, I feel like I'm just using my right brain, but I'm definitely using sort of my experience of making things look 3D and shadowed a certain way, which is very much left brain. It's analytical. So I began to try to be more balanced in it and work together, realizing that I can lead with the right brain, with the sort of the stroke of it and the feeling of it, and then allow the left brain in to, like here's another one of those little 666s. You can see it in there. In my mind, I'm creating this sort of spiral, but then I look at it and I'm like, oh my God, But I didn't let the left brain influence me to take it out or anything like that. I just observed it. I heard the chatter of my brain and realized, like, there's probably a lot of other people that would think the same thing. But I'm the one that's actually drawing it, right? So anyway, going along here and just having fun with creating different patterns to fill it out. So this was originally like a big black line, and I began to erase patterns out of it, and just to see what sort of fun little things I could do, really leading with the right brain. But most of this came later. Okay, so at some point, I was looking at it, and I guess I had, I kind of got it on different layers so that it's not so heavy on the system. Let's see. Okay, so basically, at some point, I basically just had the center section without the hand or all of these sort of energy worm things, right? So just the center section, and I could see a hand perfectly laying out like behind it. So I took a picture of my hand and laid it behind it just to see what it would look like. And there it was. I was like, oh yeah, I've got to include that. Now what's interesting is the artwork was all about using the right brain, and it's the right hand. And it's like the left brain submitting to the right. However, it's like the left brain that really controls the right hand, right? So it's kind of confusing when you think about all of it, but in almost seemingly paradoxical, but in a way it's like the unity of it all is actually sort of beautiful because it is like sort of the right, the left brain yielding to the right or letting it at least take the lead. So I outlined my hand and then I went and began to just add patterns and these sort of little wormy things in here. And I became okay with the fact that, they're working together. They work best together in a balanced way. And so you can see things as we work outward become more, more unified, it's pretty chaotic in here, especially where I first started. And I was, you look at all of this, and it was pretty chaotic, just going with the feeling of it all. And you can look at this and get all sorts of pareidolia. Nothing in here is anything at all. So if you see something in here and it looks like something, it's you're like sort of picking things up because, I already think the magic happens in the randomness. And I can see all sorts of things, and I can see it at different levels. So, like, I can kind of gaze around the drawing here and see certain things. And then, things look much differently if I zoom out to here. And then again, things begin to look more different when I pull out to here. Of course, you can see the hand, but really the hand is the only thing that is something here. Everything else is sort of just scribbles, scribbles and lines and strokes and nothing specific, And if you see letters, that's just accidental. I didn't try to hide any messages or anything. So if you see any messages, maybe they're for you. If you see your initials or something, and this like looks all mechanical, and I don't know, really, it's nothing. At least nothing I know of. So really, that's been the my experience with this whole art project. That was a lot of fun, and I actually was planning on filling everything in between all of these, but once I got all of these erased, we got the patterns erased out of them, I thought it looks actually pretty good just to kind of fade out into nothing because there's a lot to see in these patterns here. And sort of, even with some of these, you can see how I erased the pattern out, but then I went back and added these lines here to give it the effect of sort of being intertwined and stuff. So a lot of them, like I went back and forth, like I drew something, I erased part of it, I drew other parts back again, and that's what's cool about doing digital art like this is that you can erase, because I could have a lot of fun with Sharpies and things like that and permanent, those paintbrush markers or whatever. I love those too, but this is a different style of art. There's a lot of this that you can't really do on paper because a lot of it, it's drawing and erasing and drawing and erasing. So a lot of it was created that way and just creating all sorts of little patterns and eventually I will, put this one out. I haven't even exported this one out. This is actually my Illustrator program we're looking at right now because I wanted to be able to really zoom in and look at everything. But yeah, this was quite the adventure. And it actually went way, way quicker than the other one. Like I did this one in a few weeks of just not nonstop working on it or anything, but, putting quite a few hours into it. And I don't even, a lot of times I will sit quietly and draw it and sort of kind of just pay attention to what I'm doing. But then other times I'll like listen to like hours of Alan Watts and things like that. So it's really fun. If I want to listen to some really long things, I'd love to put something on and just draw. So anyway, I thought it'd be interesting for some of you to try this out in whatever medium you use. I was just sharing kind of how I do it here. But, if you do something on paper or want to just doodle something out and just try to do it with the feeling of the stroke and the feeling of the lines and and just, kind of let your creativity just have its way without anything needing to be anything at all. I see all sorts of, like a lot of people see a tree stump right here. I almost thought it looked like someone like leaning over a tree stump and maybe praying or something. I don't know. You can see a lot of little things in there. So, yeah, it was a lot of fun to create, and I'd be interested to see what you guys come up with, and if you can sort of observe as you're drawing to see how much this back and forth happens between right and left brains, and how you're actually creating, and if you're leading with, because, you come up with an idea, and a lot of times it's like that. That's how the other one was. I don't know if it was, I really don't know if it was the left or the right brain with the original Doodle, with a lot of the things, because I'd sort of just get a picture in my mind of, let me reset this. I just get a picture in my mind, an idea, and then I go with it, and then maybe I might see a little space to put something. And that's how, the Moai was in the bottom down there. So a lot of fun synchronicities happening. And I want to encourage everyone to have fun and adventure a little bit with your imagination. If you're into art or music or writing, you can really try to take this approach with anything and lead with your right brain, but try to bring in balance of the left brain along with it and see what you can come up with. Lots of love, light, and unity. We'll see you guys in the next one. Peace.